Today we are going to discuss the principle of change. It's a great phrase that you hear so many times and you see it on memes and all different places. Nothing changes unless you change, and whatever you are not changing, you are choosing. And everything will come from the principle of change, because if we keep doing the same things, then we'll keep getting the same outcome. And that's what Einstein described literally as the definition of insanity: doing the same things over and over again and expecting a different outcome. So again, this comes down to our thoughts, our beliefs, our behaviors, our actions, all the things that we now know shape our personality, which in turn shapes our personal reality or our life. So if we want change, we have to change. In order for life to change, we have to change. We have to change how we think, we have to change what we believe, we have to change how we act, we have to change how we show up, we have to change how we operate, and everything in between, if we want to create a new life, new results, a new personality, and a new personal reality. Because literally nothing will change until we change. Case closed. And we know everything in life comes from a thought. The fact that you are here watching this live this morning means you got up and you saw a message and you had a thought and you thought, I'm going to watch that training. So why does this become so difficult? Because it's like, okay, Lee, that sounds really simplistic. Change my thoughts, right, done that. Change my beliefs, right, done that. After 30 days, we know a belief is just a repetitive thought. Change the way I behave, right? Nothing's changed. But you said nothing changes until I change. But I've changed and nothing changes. That's why it becomes difficult. One, because we have an inbuilt and inappropriate need for quick change rather than lasting change. So this is what's called, when we've spoken about this before, it's delaying that instant need for gratification, whether this is fat loss, whether this is in your businesses, whether this is building muscle, whether this is in your life, in your relationships, or just personally how you operate. We have to delay that instant need for gratification. We can't meditate for 1 week, change our thoughts for 1 week, go to the gym for 1 week, track food for 1 week, be kinder and compassionate in our relationship for 1 week, and expect everything to be fixed. It takes much longer. So the key thing that makes it difficult and that we need to work on is we need to delay the instant need for gratification. But what is the number one reason why people don't change? It's because very often you're not even aware until it's too late. So in order for us to change, we need to become aware of what needs to change. That's step one. We only know what we know, and some people don't know what they don't know. So we have to know what needs to change in order to change. Otherwise, we'll go into that reality of, I've discussed this many times about the subconscious thought being the elephant, 95% walking in one direction, and the conscious thoughts being the little ant on his back saying, hey, no, I no longer want to feel that way. I no longer want to behave that way, trying to drag this big elephant in the opposite direction. But that's the reality of where most people live. They're so controlled by thinking, behaving, acting, and believing what they always have, because it's hardwired in, and we know that neurons that wire together, that they find it almost impossible to change because they're not even aware of what change is needed in order to live the life that they love. So the reality is, the amount of people that will roll out of bed this morning, even though they had a disastrous week last week, and they will start Monday in exactly the same way that they started last Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday and their entire life, because they're not even aware of what they need to change. So we need to first become aware of what we need to change in order to change. Because if not, we'll just keep repeating the same thoughts. And what will the same thoughts lead to? The same beliefs. And what will the same beliefs lead to? The same behaviours. What will the same behaviours lead to? The same personality. What will the same personality and actions lead to? The same personal reality or life. I think hopefully you guys have got that one by now. So we have to become aware, literally every minute, every hour, every day, every week, every month, and so on and so on and so on, of what our thoughts are. So journal that out today and start to work on it. How do you think? What are the repetitive thoughts that you keep having that lead to your beliefs, that lead to the way you behave? Because we have to do the thoughts first. I don't believe X only comes from a repetitive thought. I believe Y also comes from a repetitive thought. This is the beautiful thing about what I'm going to coach you this morning. It works exactly the same way. You're just hardwired one way or the other. That's literally it. Case closed. So anything that you think that's not working for you, you can also think what would work for you. But we have to be aware. And I'm going to come on to why it's so hard. Because we need to think new thoughts if we want to behave in a different way and have a new life. Now, it's so hard because it's like everything else. Done it before. They're not quite as big as they used to be. But how did I build that bicep? Fucking reps. Reps and reps and reps and reps and reps and reps and reps. I would shudder to think how many bicep curls I've done since the age of probably 12, when I first watched Baywatch and Gladiators and decided I wanted to be ripped, lean and shredded so I could attract women like Erica Eleniak and Pamela Anderson in Baywatch, and Jet and Lightning and whoever else was on the radar in those teenage years. So we have to do it daily and we have to do the reps. Reps in the mind are the same as reps in the gym. And the diet that you should be most concerned with is not the foods that you are feeding your body, although that's important. The diet you should most be concerned with are the thoughts that you are feeding your mind. So you have to become aware. Become aware today. Like, have an alarm clock in your head. How am I thinking? How am I thinking? Is it serving me? Does it align with how I want to think? No. Right. Challenge it, change it. And it's hard because it's the same as confronting an individual. You know, we're hardwired for safety. We're hardwired for comfort. And it's almost like, you know, when you're avoiding a difficult conversation with another person because it's going to be awkward and uncomfortable and challenging, and it might get aggressive and it might get fractious. It's exactly the same process, but with your own mind. You're essentially picking a fight with your own thoughts. So today, become aware of every thought. And if it's a thought that doesn't lead to a belief that you want, that doesn't serve the future and the life that you want, you have to challenge and change that thought. You have to pull it up like an argument. Hang on, no, I'm not having that thought today. Shut up, you. Quiet. What thoughts do I want to have? Aware every second of every day. Because if we don't challenge how we're thinking, we won't change how we're behaving. Case closed. But it takes pure repetition because our thoughts are hardwired. I have 44 years of hardwired thoughts. Even think about, I know I made a joke out of it there, but that was a hardwired thought from the age of 12 years old. I need to be ripped, lean and shredded to attract women that I find attractive. False thought, false belief leads to false behaviours. Hardwired thought. from the age of 12, from watching a TV program. Guess what? What did that lead to? A belief. Only guys who look that way get hot girls. How was that showing up in my life until only 4 or 5 years ago? As you've heard me speak about. I must look a certain way. I must be a certain way. I must have a certain amount of money. I must drive a certain car. I must have a certain house. And if not, I'm not attractive and no one will love me, which will trigger my innermost fear of not being good enough and being excluded from the tribe and being lonely and sad on my own. All from a thought, from watching Baywatch. Mental, right? So you have to challenge it with pure repetition. Because if not, we'll go back to the old thoughts. And old thoughts are easy. Old behaviors are easy. Old beliefs are easier. It's easier to blame, complain, and justify than it is to say, no, I'm going to think positively today. I'm going to show love, compassion, kindness, and patience to every person that I'm coming into contact to. I trust the universe. I love me and the world loves me. Everything that I want is already out there. It's hard to do that when you don't believe it because you haven't had the repetitive thought enough times to turn it into belief. It's easier not to challenge them, isn't it? It's easier not to challenge your boss. It's easier not to challenge your partner, your kids, your friends, anyone in the world. It's easier to stay quiet and not challenge them. Put your hand up if there's many times in your life when you stay quiet and you don't challenge people because you think, oh God, that's going to be awkward. Oh God, I don't want to challenge that person. I don't want that confrontation. Phrases all the time. I just stay quiet, me. I just want an easy life. Easy life will lead to a mediocre life, a boring life, a life that you don't want to live, a life that will make you miserable. So we need to get the mind and the body to work together. Okay? The mind can never buy into what the heart doesn't believe. This is why when I've talked about meditation and visualizations and the power, we have to have heart goals and head goals, but it has to come from the heart first. I've told the story so many times about, if you had a Labrador that had a bowl full of fillet steak and gravy, and it had another bowl full of $1 million, which bowl would the Labrador go for? The fillet steak every time, because it thinks with its heart, not its head. It doesn't think, well, actually, if I take the money, I could buy enough fillet steak to feed myself for the rest of my life and have it 5 times a day. It just thinks, my heart, I want the steak. So if the heart's not bought in, the head can't buy in, and vice versa. So we have to get them to move together. Now, once we've started to change these thoughts and change these beliefs and change these behaviors, we can then hardwire it in the same way that the thoughts from 12-year-old Lee have been hardwired in. But guess what? He'd been thinking that way for 20, 30 years. And yes, I still slip back to those old thoughts. Even in the last week, it's very hard to not think you need to look and be a certain way in order to be attractive. Almost impossible, but you have to challenge it. And you can hardwire it in exactly the same way that you've hardwired the thoughts that aren't serving you. Imagine that life. That's the life I want. That's the life I'm moving towards. When I've worked so hard on this every day with 2 times daily visualizations, 2 times daily affirmations, 2 times daily meditations. That's nearly 2 hours I do every day until I can hardwire and hardwire and hardwire these neurons that are firing so they wire together. So I become so strong. So that elephant is the subconscious thoughts and they are the positive thoughts. Imagine that life. Imagine the life where how you currently find it difficult not to believe in yourself. You currently find it difficult to think positively. You currently find it difficult to not react, not feel down, not get frustrated, not judge, not complain, not justify, because it's what you've always done. Imagine the opposite. And that's in existence because we've discussed this before. Everything's on a spectrum. We can't have happy without sad. We can't have fear without courage. We can't have love without hate. Imagine the elephant becomes love, compassion, prosperity, wealth, gratitude, kindness, forgiveness. Can't believe Sarah's drinking a can of beer at this time in the morning. That's disgraceful. Oh, it's Monster. So, think about that. Have that as a thought. That's where I want you to leave this training with. That you can do exactly the same in the opposite way. Because it works both ways. Imagine that life where you subconsciously. That's when remember that phrase we used before? I think Paul Moore said it. That's when you become unfuckwithable. Unbreakable. Imagine that life where the elephant is the positive thoughts. You get up and you find it hard to think negatively. Someone triggers you and you find it hard to react. Oh my God, that triggered the shit out of me. I was trying so hard to get angry with him and I just couldn't do it. All I gave him was kindness and compassion. That's the warrior state. That's the achiever mode. That's the level when you are literally unstoppable, unbreakable, unbeep-withable. But again, why is it so hard? Because you have to make different choices. And change is the hardest thing in the world. So even when you set yourself up today, my beloved champions, and you say, right, this is it, the old age phrase, it's Monday, it's a new day. I'm going to do each of the 5 workouts that Lee spent lots of time organising and setting out for me and putting into a document or an app, and that are all listed with dates and times showing me exactly what I need to do on every single day. And I'm going to take on board those. I've got 2 new meditations today, by the way, guys, to put in the groups. I bought the proper ones, not the YouTube ones. And I'm going to take time out to do the affirmations that he recommended. And I'm going to fill in that big black planner that you put in the post that literally sets me up for success every day. And I'm going to hydrate and I'm going to track my food and I'm going to be grateful and I'm going to visualize my dream. I'm going to do every single thing that Lee's told me to, because I understand that success leaves clues. And so on and so on. And I'm not going to drink this weekend. And I'm going to stop reacting, and so on and so on and so on. And then by 2 o'clock this afternoon, you're balls deep in a bowl of custard creams. You've fucked off MyFitnessPal because you're a technophobe. You haven't done the planner because you got reactive. You didn't do your run because you didn't plan it. You didn't put it in your diary. We know this. If it's not scheduled, it doesn't get done. You're telling yourself a lie that you had intention of doing it. Let's face it, if it wasn't in the diary, you had no intention of doing it. You're full of shit. Myself included, if I do that. And you fly into work, finish the day, stressed, angry, get in at 4 o'clock, snap at the kids, snap at the partner. Fuck's sake, I'm having some wine, bad day at work. And wow. That is I'm taking the piss a little bit. But that's actually a real situation that happens, that will happen to millions of people today who got up and set new intentions. Okay? It's not your fault. I've done it. Hands up if you've done that. Hands up if you've set your attention on your intention and perfectly set yourself up on a Monday morning, and by 2 p.m. the day is a complete shower of shit. Because why it happens is because it's what we've always done. It's the 95% rule that you've been running your whole life. It's the ants, not the ant on the back of the elephant, but the ants that are the automatic negative thoughts. One little thought triggers you. 11 a.m. I'm hungry. I got weak. I didn't think, so I ate sugar. And then all of a sudden, that ant's nest is firing and wiring stress, anxiety, worry, negativity, reactiveness, and everything in between. Blame, complain, justify. We have to turn it. We have to change it before it gets too late. When we have the thought that leads to the thing, we've got to catch the thought before it leads to the thing. And you have to commit to this with your thoughts every hour of every day. You can't do it on Monday for a few hours, Tuesday for a little bit, Wednesday I'll have a day off, Thursday, oh, that was a disaster because this person rang up at work and complained, and that just set my tone for the whole day because I opened my emails at 6 o'clock in the morning because I forgot X, Y, and Z. You have to do it every day. And I promise you, when you start challenging your own thoughts every day, it's going to be so uncomfortable. But guess what? Life is not a comfort-based experience. Life is a growth-centric experience. Yes, we're hardwired for comfort. Yes, we're hardwired for safety. But nothing will ever grow there. Nothing will ever change. And the reason why it will feel so uncomfortable is because you're building a new you. You're building a new identity. Now, unless you want to stay the same way and keep having the same thoughts that lead to the same beliefs, that lead to the same behaviors, that lead to the same personality, that lead to the same personal reality, then we have to do this. But you have to imagine, you guys remember when I did the talk at Lake Bottomere after the meditation when you were all straight under for 7 minutes and didn't even know you'd gone. We only have to do this one brick at a time. One breath, one day, and one thought. But the reality is, there's something that comes before that. Before we start laying the first brick of the new identity, the new thought, the new belief, and the new life, you have to knock the entire fucking house down. That's why it's hard. You can't build a new house on an old house. So you've got this house that's been there for 40 years, thinking the same way, believing the same way, acting the same way, and having the same life. And you have to knock that entire house down and start rebuilding it one brick at a time. And it's even harder because, and sorry to sugarcoat it, guys, this is never going to change until the day we're dust. Old thoughts are always going to come back up. Every hour, old thoughts are going to come back up. You're not going to change that. Like, I can't remember the exact stats, but it's different with males and females as well. I think it's somewhere in the men have in the region of 2,500 thoughts per day. I think women it's nearly double, or it's about 4,500. Absolutely no fucking idea on this earth how someone found that out. But I've read it somewhere. It's in the head. So you're never going to make them all positive. Remember, there's a full training to go back on. Life's not about being happy all the time. Life's not about being positive all the time. Life's about being authentic. I think the training was called, it's in the archives. Training's called, Life's not about being happy all the time, it's about being authentic. So don't think if the old thoughts keep cropping up that you're doing something wrong. You're not. They're always going to crop up. The only thing you're doing wrong is you stop challenging them. That's what goes wrong. And that's when we go back to the old behaviors. Because it will start straight away. I'm not good enough. I'll never be loved. I'm not going to lose weight. I can't run my own business. I'm never going to get more clients. I'll never be able to build muscle. I'll never be able to change my job. I'll never be able to insert your current belief that you can't believe you can make a reality that came from a repetitive thought. I always quit when it gets tough. That was a great one this week, and I'm not going to say who it was. But you know, and it will be in your check-in reply. This is the first week listen carefully, this is the first week that I haven't seen progress in my physique. I am devastated, and this is when I normally give up and quit. Like, that's a thought that led to a belief, that led to a behaviour. But this is what you have to imagine, guys, right? What expectation did you have? Where does all anger, resentment, and frustration and disappointment come from? Unmet expectations. So said person, I love you, had a thought that in order to feel good enough when signed up to a plan, his physique has to change every single week. Every week. Like, fucking hell, bro, you'd be Arnold Schwarzenegger by Christmas 2025. And if not, something's wrong, I'm not good enough, and I'm going to quit. Can you see how everything that I've discussed in this training can be summarized in that one sentence there? So if you are that person, whether it's mental health, physical health, career, sales, and you've had that expectation that in order to be okay, this needs to happen, that's the thought and the belief that needs to change. That's the thought and the belief that needs to be challenged. Because if it goes unnoticed or it goes unchallenged, you will quit, and it can't ever do that. But if you're a businessman who's expecting your profits to go up every single week, if you're a bodybuilding client who's expecting to gain muscle every week, if you're a fat loss client who's expecting to lose weight every week, then you are literally arguing with reality. You're making it impossible for yourself to feel happy, like you're good enough, like you're progressing, because that will never happen. Nobody in the world progresses every single week. But said person, it's not your fault in any way, shape, or form. Because your whole life, every time you've been on a plan for the last 20 or 30 years, you've had a thought that in order to feel good, probably because of fucking Weight Watchers and Slimming World and which other shit twat plans base humans' self-worth on the number on a scale every single week. I must apologise to Slimming World and Weight Watchers, but I really meant that. So it's not even a true thought. Very often you have progressed, but you stood on a scale. Oh no! 186, the same as last week. I'm a failure. Lee's a useless coach. The world's bad. I hate everything. Oh, what's the point? I know, let's eat cake. I'm not doing this plan anymore. It's not for me. I don't have the headspace. Adios, Lee. I'm out. Can't do it. Like, I've probably experienced that 500 times in the last 20 years. But said person is just having the same thought that's leading to the same belief, that's leading to the same behavior. So the cure is to be able to catch that thought and go, no, that's not true. No, that's not silly. No, I'm not going to quit. No, I'm not going to behave that way anymore. And like another example would be, you want to be happy, you want to be positive, you want to be focused, you want to be kind, you want to be compassionate, you want to be loving, you want to calm, you want to breathe in calmness, you want to breathe out anxiety. Just like it says on the meditations. But within hours, you're pulling yourself down. You're relating your self-worth to a number on a scale. You're reacting, you're getting angry, you're back on social media. commenting on posts, getting into arguments that don't concern you, watching the news, being filled with fear and scarcity. Anyone watching the news or reading a newspaper, just fucking stop. Just do yourself a favour, just stop today. Then you're blaming, and then you're complaining, and then you're judging other people. And you're having these thoughts, and those thoughts will never make you happy. So you've slipped back into thinking the opposite of what you want. Imagine I'm sat there, I'm like, I did this for a period yesterday. I am literally sat here thinking the opposite of what I want. I'm a hypocrite. I'm a liar. I'm a fraud. No, I'm not. Change your fucking thought. So now it's like when you get to this place, and I slip back, guys, I'm not perfect by any stroke of your imagination. But I think now I'm probably at a place where I rarely go more than 2 hours ever without being able to catch it, give myself a virtual slap on my bold, as Logan calls it, and snap myself out of it. Because to be happy, we have to think happy thoughts. To be positive, we have to think positive thoughts. If we want to attract love, we have to think loving thoughts. If we want to be confident, we need to think confident thoughts. If we want to be wealthy, we need to think wealthy, prosperous thoughts. If we want to be successful, we have to think thoughts of successfulness and visualize the success every hour of every day that we get. If we want to be loved, as I said, we have to have loving thoughts of ourselves and other people. Nobody will ever be able to love or value you over and above your ability to love and value yourself. Everything starts from within. Outer world will always match inner world. If you've got chaos in your head, you'll have chaos in your life. This is why it can become so difficult sometimes when people start changing, because they're either living this is why it leads to chaos in the head. Here we go on the classic ADHD tangent. This is why it leads to chaos in the head, right? Because when you start changing, when you start thinking more positively, when you start acting, feeling and being different, all of a sudden, other people in your life start to, oh, you've changed. Oh, you're not the same person. You don't listen to my bullshit anymore. Oh, you don't want to go out to the pub every weekend. And your friends don't understand, right? People in your life don't understand. Your partner might not understand. Which is why I've ended more relationships than Jerry Springer. Thanks, guys. But it's the reality, okay? It's not that they don't understand. It's just that it's not normal for them. And you have changed, but you've actually become authentic. You've become who you wanted to be. So don't allow that to create chaos in your head. Oh God, everyone thinks I'm weird. Oh God, everyone thinks I'm changing. I've started being myself and everyone's like, what's going on with you? Because the opposite is that you carry on being authentic to fit in, inauthentic to fit in. You carry on going with the flow. There's only one thing that should go with the flow, and that's dead fish. Put your hand up if you want to be a dead fish. Nah, thought not. So if we're not, don't allow those people's thoughts of saying, hey, you've changed. The next time someone says, hey, Stephen, you've changed. Damn fucking right I have. I've changed for the better. Everything in my life is amazing. I think positive thoughts. I don't go there with those people. I don't drink those drinks. I don't have those negative behaviors. Everything in my life is amazing. Thank you from the bottom of my heart that's full of love, kindness and compassion for noticing how much I've changed, because you're damn right I've changed. I love me. I choose me. I choose positivity. I choose love. I choose kindness. I choose compassion. I choose authenticity. Don't allow that to be chaos in your head. That's not chaos, that's authenticity. The chaos that affects you in your head and why your outer world follows your inner world in a negative way is you're inauthentic in your own head. You're trying to be a certain way to fit in. The first fucking however many 38 years of my life, trying to be a certain way that wasn't me to get the love that I've never had as a child. That's when you will have serious chaos in your outer world, because you've got chaos in your own head. If you can't be authentic in your own head, is Jan asleep? Jan, is it that bad? I'm kidding. She's meditating these thoughts. So the thoughts that, as I said, the outer world will always match the inner world. So fix you first. If you're not being yourself, I promise you, I practiced it for many years, you'll always feel uneasy. You'll always have chaos in your life, okay? So today, deeply think about what thoughts you are thinking and decide if those thoughts are supporting the emotions that you want to feel. So if you're holding on to some anger towards someone, if you've got angry thoughts, Jan, why are you smiling and laughing? Jan's picturing throwing darts into a doll of someone right now. But if you have angry thoughts, what emotions are going to show up? Emotions of anger. When the emotions of anger show up, how are you going to behave? Angrily. When you behave angrily, what's going to happen? You're going to have an angry life. So we have to think, are the thoughts that I'm having supporting the emotions that I want to feel? I've said this so many times. Anxiety, depression, stress, worry, overwhelm. They're not actual things. They're emotions. Not things you have, they're emotions, they're states. And we can change our state. You're in control of your state, but your state comes from a thought. So are the thoughts that I'm having, are the diet that I'm feeding my brain supporting the emotions that I want to feel? If you want to feel love, you can't be having unloving thoughts. Are my thoughts supporting the future that I want to live? Because change is becoming so conscious. The principle of change, which is what I discussed at the start, which is what this training is essentially on. The principle of change is becoming so focused on how you are thinking, feeling, and acting on a daily basis that they never go unnoticed again for more than a few hours. It's impossible to do it all the time. If you're really struggling, how about this? Set an alarm on your phone every hour. By the way, if you're being a lazy fucker and struggling with your steps, that might also be a nice reminder to get up and go for a walk for 10 minutes. An alarm that says every hour, how am I thinking? What thoughts am I having? Are these thoughts supporting the emotions that I want to feel, that are going to lead to the behaviours that I'm going to do, that are going to lead to the life that I want to live? If you're struggling, trust me, that'll work. Giving yourself a reminder. Maybe put a piece of paper on your fridge. Don't eat the fucking cake. No. How are you thinking? Maybe don't eat the fucking cake, and how are you thinking? Sugar is not my friend. Because if not, you'll forget for weeks, days, months, and go back to autopilot. But I know I put a bit of tongue-in-cheek humour into these sessions, but it is hard, okay? Why is it so hard? I'm going to go back to the Freeman full circle. Stop being the C looking for the other D. Be the full circle. Very good point, Stephen. Just don't buy the cake, yeah. By the way, if you're trying to stop drinking and you've got beers or wine or spirits in the house and the fridge, one word, Muppet. Don't make it difficult for yourself. Make it easy for yourself. If you're trying to stop eating cake and you've got cake in the fridge, same word, Muppet. It's like me going to Creamfields and expecting not to get on the fucking gear and have a party, isn't it? Not going to happen. Very unlikely. Well, oldly, not newly, but oldly would have found it very, very difficult. Don't put yourself in situations where you make it difficult for yourself. Don't have things around that make it difficult for you. Don't be around people that make it difficult for you. I love all my old mates, but what the hell? Go out with them now, because they're still doing the same things that we were doing 15 years ago. Now completely forgotten what I was talking about. The hardest part, I haven't. The hardest part is delaying the instant need for gratification, which we spoke about. So you're going to do everything. You're going to watch this video. You're going to be inspired. You're going to be motivated. You're going to be driven. You're going to be focused. You're going to be ready to go. You're going to do that big black thing. You're going to track your food. You're going to do the run today. You're going to meditate. You're going to visualize. And then by the end of this week, you're like, Jesus wept. Why aren't I living in a 5-bedroom home, holidaying in the Maldives, driving my dream car, married to Amanda Holden, shredded within an inch of my life, and finding it impossible to think negative thoughts? Because it takes time. I can't tell you how long it's going to take, but just consider this. If your thoughts were a whole house that you need to knock down because you've built 1,000 bricks of negative thoughts that are hardwired because neurons that wire together, it's probably going to take a little bit more than a week to knock down those 1,000 bricks and start to rebuild them one at a time. This is why people quit. I can't tell you when it will happen, just that it will happen as long as you don't give up. Remember, who remembers the emotional cycle of change? Day one, uninformed optimism. Woohoo! Signed up for the plan. I've got the leggings. That's just me. I've got the new trainers. I've got the new bra top. I've got the new gym bra. I've got the new super thong. I've signed up to the coach. I've done the big shop. I've planned my food. Oh, day 3. Fuck me. Fucking doing my head in Fitness Pal. Oh God, I have to actually get up every morning and do the mindset work and the meditations. But oof, this bed is just so comfortable. Fucking hell. Rosie. Not you, Rosie. That was just a random name that I picked up. Rosie wants to go clubbing tonight. Oh, fucking hell. I've only been on this fucking plan 5 days and I cheated on my diet on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, and I didn't go for the run on Monday morning, even though I said I would. Little Monday. Fuck. Oh, fuck it. Let's just go out and get twatted tonight. Right, I'm off. Literally, I'm not even joking. That's a real situation, isn't it? So, uninformed optimism moves to informed pessimism. Oh, whoopsie. I need to stop thinking this way. Oh, I need to stop eating cake. Oh, I need to stop taking drugs and drinking beer. Oh, I need to say no to Rosie tonight. But, Jamie Jones is on and I really want to go. Oh, God, I need to change my thoughts. Oh, God, I need to change my behaviour. But guess what? When we do, you'll change your life. It's the principle of change. And then we go from informed pessimism to the pit. Back to old ways, old thoughts, old behaviours. drinking, taking drugs, eating cake, depressed, down, escaping the life that you don't love every weekend. 1,000 times I've been asked, how did you stop drinking? How did you stop taking drugs? I created a life that I didn't need to escape from. I created a compelling vision of my future that got me more excited than going out clubbing with my loser mates. That's how. But that only happens when you push through the informed pessimism. Because when you push through, I'm going to try and draw a graph. So here, right, we have uninformed. It's just an excuse to like flex the guns. We have uninformed optimism, and then it goes down this way. Informed pessimism, and then it goes to the pit. Okay, we need to get across so we don't end up in the pit. So that means when that uninformed pessimism, shit, this is going to be tough. Yes, it is. All good things are tough. Pops up. That's when we need to change, because it's easier to not go to the gym. It's easier to think negatively. It's easier to judge people. It's easier to be reactive. It's easier to be angry. It's easier to think depressed thoughts. But we have to overcome and not end up in that pit. So every time, because otherwise we'll go uninformed optimism, informed pessimism, into the pit until the pit gets so fucking painful that we're in that much discomfort, that we're so low, overweight, overwhelmed and depressed that we're like, fuck, I'm in so much pain. Now it's not the fact that I want to change my life. I need to change my life because I'm at the bottom of the pit again. And I feel suicidal. And then you have to go all the way back and up here. And then we sign up with a new coach and the new plan and the new diet and the new mindset and the new X, Y, and Z. And we repeat the whole same process, round and round and round and round. If we want to get there, we need to get past the pit. And that means overriding the informed pessimism, overriding the dark mornings, overriding the urge for sugar, overriding and challenging the negative thoughts, because this is the journey of moving from the old you to a new you. This is the journey of building the new house, a better house, a happier house. But we have to let go of the old, and we have to focus on the new. We have to stop being shackled by memories of the past that we constantly need to escape from. And we need to be constantly inspired by a compelling vision of the future that we see on such a deep level that we feel it and believe it. How do we do that? Morning and evening meditations. How do we change the thoughts? Morning and evening affirmations. But we have to become so captivated by this vision of the future that we forget the memories of the past, because that's all they are. Gone. Let them go. Because there's only two types of people in this world. What's that famous line? Is that on what is it on, like Kevin and Perry? Or I've got all sorts going around in my head now. I've got Del Boy and Rodney, and I've got Kevin and Perry. That there's some form of line that says there's only two people in the that type of world. There's like us and idiots or something like that. Anyway, that's not what I'm going to say. Just felt the need to share it. There's only two types of people in this world, right? People who are inspired and people who aren't. Case closed. Now you have a decision. Because when you get to the pit, guess what you're doing? You're being pushed by desperation. Pushed because you gained 3 stone again. Pushed because you started drinking and you feel suicidal again. Pushed because you're falling out with everyone in your life because you can't handle your emotions. You're being pushed by desperation. When you are pushed by desperation, this is when people need motivation. And as we know, as Goggins said, motivation is bullcrap. When you have inspiration, you don't need motivation. When you have leverage and emotional meaning for why you want to do what you want to do, i.e. providing maybe the future for your beautiful children, maybe providing the loving home and relationship for your beautiful dogs, maybe having the life that you've always wanted to live because you know how it's going to make you feel, and you have that inspiration and you have that leverage and you have that emotional meaning, that's when it becomes easy. That's what pulls you over the pit. But that's the truth. We can either be pushed by desperation or we can be pulled by inspiration. It's easy being pulled by inspiration. Inspiration is when you see the business, you see the future, you see the body, you see the life, you see everything that you want, and you're so captivated by it and you're so inspired that you think, act and feel like you believe it's already yours. It's like I've said to you guys so many times, if you already had everything in the life, if you were, let's say, I'll give you a personal example. Let's say you were already in the most loving relationship in the world, the happiest relationship you've ever had, how would you be acting today? Act that way and you'll attract it. Don't act that way and you'll repel it. If you already had your dream business, your dream income, your dream life, it was already yours, you already had it, how would you be showing up today? If you already had whatever it is personally for you guys, everything that you want, how would you be showing up today? You'd be flying through life, happy, positive, driven, focused. You wouldn't care about other people or what they think and their opinions. You'd just be buzzing. Act like that and you'll attract everything that you've always wanted. Because that's when you're being pulled. You're that focused on the vision of your future that you want, the business, the body, the life, the relationship, that you're being pulled by it. Because you're being pulled by the compelling vision of your future and inspiration, not being shackled by a depressing memory of the past, the old house, the old bricks that you're going to knock down today. Now, when it becomes hard, your head will always try and take you back from the pit. And the reason why it becomes so hard is because, listen, right? I love my brain sometimes. I'm going to go straight back to what that person said in their check-in. This is the first week that my physique hasn't changed, and this is when I normally quit. They've already answered their own question. They've already sealed their own fate. They've already made the decision and have the thought and the belief that the outcome, this is the point when I quit. This is the point when I don't quit. This is the point when I push through pain. This is the point when I say, no, fuck you old thoughts, I'm not listening to you. Because I have new thoughts, new beliefs, new behaviors. So why is it so hard to create that new thought, that new belief, and push past the point when you always quit? Why do you always quit at the same point? Why is it so hard to get past it? Why have you got to that point so many times in your life, and every time you get to that point, the same thing happens? Two reasons. One is, some people get to the point, and this is massive with me with ADHD, they get to the point where they've actually got happy, they've achieved what they want, they're living the life that they desire, so they purposely go and fuck it all up, aka classic self-sabotage, because they've not become okay with being happy. It feels abnormal. That's why I struggled for so many years until I understood it. I normally self-sabotage when things were good Why? Because my brain didn't have problems to solve. It was like, what's going on? Give me a problem. I haven't got any problems. Right, okay, I'm going to go and create some. I'm going to go and see how many problems I can create. Because then when I've gone backwards and I've created loads of problems, I'll have something to solve. Woof! Brain feels happy again. It's got problems to focus on. That's one reason. That's a personal reason. Another reason is, and it's the same reason really, one word: unknown. When you push past the point when you normally quit and leave the peer group and go back to your old loser mates that don't call you out on your own bullshit, go back to the pub every weekend, stop tracking food, stop exercising, stop working on your mental health until it gets that bad and you're that part low in the pit that you push by desperation and you need help because you're basically going to die, if not, or just live a depressed life. That point when you push past where you always quit and do that, you are moving into the unknown. You are moving into the new version of you. You are letting go of the old person that's not serving you. And the unknown is scary. Because it's new. Everything that's new is scary. But by not choosing new, you're choosing old. By not choosing new, you're choosing to be shackled by memories of the past rather than the compelling vision of the future. But guess what? Here's the truth bomb. Unknown's not scary. It's fucking beautiful. Unknown is the most beautiful place in the world. It's fresh. It's exciting. Unless you guys are telling me you want to live the same life forever, that you're perfectly happy as you are. I'm fucking not. I'm getting there. But I'm a long way off where I want to be. And that's great, because that means I've constantly got inspiration. But why is it? We've done another whole training on this, haven't we? I've done the full trainings on the 6 human needs. Certainty and uncertainty. Most people have an inappropriate need for certainty, which what's the one thing that we know? Certainty doesn't exist. September the 11th, morbid but perfect example. I'm addicted to my certain safe life with my safe partner and my safe income and my safe X, Y, and Z until a fucking plane flies through my office. The certainty that we think we have in our relationships, in our careers, in our life, doesn't even exist. Trust me, as I said, I had 3 reminders last week. You and I could be dust tomorrow. You have no certainty in your life. The certainty that you think you have doesn't exist. So fucking go all out. You could be dead tomorrow. Go all out on the dream. Go all out on the life. Do the thing. Who cares if you fail? No one cares. Only person that cares is you. As we said in last week's training, that's your ego. When you do something that's weirdly embarrassing and you say, oh my God, I wanted to die. That's not you. You is the person that did the thing. That's why you wanted to do it. The thing that's dying is your ego, which is the whole thing that's been holding you back your entire life, which was why Ryan Holiday wrote an entire book called The Ego is the Enemy. So because people have an inappropriate need for certainty, that's why they stay in abusive relationships. Well, he might knock the fuck out of me every night and hasn't told me he loves me in 10 years and we haven't had sex in the last 5 and this is the most horrible relationship I've ever been in, but at least it's safe. I'm really sorry if that triggers anyone. That was probably a little bit over the top, but It's a reality of what happens. People in a job they hate, they literally, all they look forward to is getting through to the end of the day so they can have a bottle of wine or 4 beers. And then they want to get through to the weekend so they can get pissed out of their head from Friday to Sunday before having Friday euphoria and Monday morning blues and going back to the job that they hate. And they work that whole year in the job that they hate, in the relationship, the sexless, loveless relationship that they're not enjoying because they're addicted to the certainty of the relationship and the career, all leading towards 2 weeks in Benidorm or Turkey so they can go and get smashed off their bonds again for another 2 weeks and escape the life that they hate before returning to the life that they hate and repeating that. Harsh, yes. True, very. So the reason why we don't push past the pit into the unknown is because we're addicted to certainty, safety and comfort. Comfort zones, we know this. Nothing ever grows there. If your goals don't scare you, you're not playing big enough. I want to get back to my best. No, fuck that. Back is boring. What you did didn't work. Why do you want to get back to where you were? New, fresh, exciting, big, juicy. Uncertain goals that make you want to dive out of bed because they're that exciting. So people go back to the certainty of that toxic relationship, that toxic career and that toxic life because it's safe. Even if it's miserable. I don't care if it's miserable. At least it's safe. That's why people don't push past the unknown. That's why they quit. That's why you don't get the dream body, because you don't feel you deserve it because it's unknown. So every time you almost get to having the dream body, you go and fuck everything up on purpose because you feel you don't deserve it. We've got all the trainings on self-love and self-worth. I'm not going to go too deeply into that. We'll be here till tea time. But you feel you're not worthy of it because you're having unworthy thoughts. So when you realize that pushing past that point and going into the unknown and living an uncertain life, because it doesn't matter because you could be dust tomorrow, that is when real change occurs. And it's exciting. So stop avoiding the unknown. Stop avoiding new. Stop avoiding scary. Stop avoiding uncertain. Because all those things are on the other side of the pit. You just need to go through that informed pessimism. That's the bit that's going to be hard. I have to say no to the beer, the gear, the drugs, the cake, the clubbing, the depression, anything else that I've got addicted to. My need for certainty, my need for safety. I need to say no to all of those things because they're the old house, they're the old bricks. And I've just knocked that down. So I need to go to new. New's not scary, it's exciting. Unknown's not scary, it's exciting. Uncertain's not scary, it's exciting. Stop thinking it's scary. The only thing you're really scared of is that you need to let go of the old you to live the life that you want. And you've kind of become attached to that person. Because if we were talking about me personally, I've been in a relationship with that person for the last 44 fucking years. And if I want newly, new excitingly, new lovingly, compassionately, kindly, prosperously, wealthily, whatever it is we want to be, we have to let go of the old. And that's why people never get past the pit of the unknown and go into the new. Because deep down, they're still addicted to the person that they've become. How did they become that person? With the thoughts and the diet they're feeding their brain. Because the thoughts we have lead to the beliefs we have that lead to the person we become as a result of our behaviour. So when you realise it's not scary, this is when the real change happens. Every time you think scary, say, no, not scary, exciting. Write that down. Tattoo it on the backs of your eyelids. It's not scary, it's exciting. It's not uncomfortable, it's exciting. Stephen, pen straight up. Because remember this, a belief is just a repetitive thought that you keep having. So if you keep having a thought that is scary, you're going to believe that. Change it with exciting. And remember, if it's not scary, you're not playing big enough. If your dreams don't scare you, they're too small. You guys have seen that villa over there. If your dreams aren't exciting, they're too small. If you think you can, if you already know you can achieve what's on your dreams list, it's too small. Go bigger. Because if it's not making you feel uncomfortable, it's not big enough, and you'll never be driven enough to do the work. So set inspired goals. So let's wrap up. What thoughts do I need to think today to live the life that I want? What thoughts do I want to think? What thoughts do I need to think to feel the emotions that I want to feel? What thoughts do I need to think to have the beliefs that I want to believe? What thoughts do I want to have that will create the beliefs that will lead to the behaviors that will lead to my dream life? How do I need to think to have my dream life? What do I need to believe to have my dream life? How do I need to behave to have my dream life? You can't keep talking about your dream body and skipping the fucking gym 3 times a week and not tracking your food. You can't think about having the dream business but not doing the social media posts because you still give too much of a fuck about what other people think. Not getting on the sales call or filming the reels because you don't like being on camera. You can't want the loving relationship but keep fucking judging, criticising everyone else. You can't want the positive mindset but do nothing every day but keep moaning, blaming and complaining. So we have to think about, what thoughts do I need to think to create the beliefs, to create the behaviours, to create the life. Teach your mind every day. Train it. Jan knows this. She can't train a dog one day, then fucking leave it till next Monday and expect it to sit. It's the same with your thoughts. Your thoughts are like, where am I going with this now? Your thoughts are like naughty dogs. You can't train it for 15 minutes on a fucking Monday and expect it to not piss on the floor for the rest of the week. You have to do it every day. Same as kids, right? You can't teach them how to behave one day and then leave them for a week and expect them to do it. Your thoughts are exactly the same. Behaviours. How do you teach a dog to behave? You train it every day. How do you treat a bicep to grow? You train it every day. So teach your mind constantly to think the thoughts that you need to think to live the life that you want to live, to create the beliefs that you want, which will create your identity. Because this will lead to new behaviors and a brand new life. Think differently, believe differently, behave differently. And when you can do all of those things, it will create a different reality and you will understand the true meaning of change and how to implement it. You'll understand the principle of change, which is what today's training is. But it all starts with your thoughts. But here's the big thing that is important to me, and it is in my heart. And if you're new and you are watching this, or you're old and you've started slipping back, that's new, old, that's clients, by the way, not age, not being ageist. You don't have to wait for a fucking crisis to change. Don't wait until you're 5 stone overweight to go back to the gym and start eating healthy. Don't wait until you're however many weeks into negative thinking or drinking or gambling or sniffing or whatever it is that you're doing in order to change. Don't wait until you get to the bottom of the pit to change. Like, so many people wait until they have a mental or physical health crisis, until they have no option but to change, because they're then pushed by the level of the pain and the desperation in order to change. You don't need to get to that place. You can implement this change when you're in a great place already. Change now. Choose you now. Choose new thoughts now. Choose new beliefs. Choose a new identity. Wherever you are, do it now. Don't wait until it gets worse. Don't wait until you quit to restart. Don't skip past that uninformed pessimism, informed pessimism, and end up in the pit because you were afraid of the unknown. Because you now know it's not scary, it's exciting. So today, think about the life that you want. Believe it's so possible on a deep emotional level that you can feel it, because feelings are the thoughts of the body, not the mind. Do the visualizations, do the meditation, create the dream. Believe it's already yours. Do the affirmations every morning, do them every night. So you are so inspired every day to think a different way, so you can believe a different way, so you can behave a different way. And every single day, these new behaviors, new thoughts, new actions, new beliefs are going to lead you to the new, exciting life you've always wanted. Guys, I love you all. Stay unbreakable.